Recently, Timothy Jay Schwab of the God Culture gave 2 interviews to promote his books, YouTube channel, and theories about the Philippines. In both interviews he did his best to get across his basic message. However, when both hosts asked for archaeological proof for his claims, Tim came up empty-handed. This first interview is with John Pounders of Pounders Live.
Have you found any archaeological evidence or anything that would suggest or would add to this idea of the Garden of Eden being in the Philippines? Have you seen any finds or anything that just kind of suggests that it's possible?
More of it being the land of gold, which is everywhere. There's gold deposits all over, not on every island of the 7,000, but all over the archipelago, and a massive vein running throughout. It's an untold amount that's incredible. The history that's found, like the pictures I showed, the illustrations earlier. I mean, what other land have you ever seen where the people wear that much gold? Do you know how much gold they were wearing according to the Spanish? One of the captain generals actually said that the wealthier class would wear 10 to 12,000 ducats of gold on their person in public.
Yeah.
Now, when you calculate that to pounds and calculate the value in US dollars, that's 1.5 to 1.8 million dollars of,
Wow.
of gold that they wore openly in public on their persons. And that category was known as innumerable, so they couldn't even count. There were so many of them.
Did you hear Tim's answer? John Pounders asked for any archaeological evidence that the Philippines is the Garden of Eden, and Tim says the abundance of gold in the Philippines. That is not archaeology, that is geology. But the question is a bit ignorant because Timothy Jay Schwab conveniently places the Garden of Eden underneath the floor of the Sulu Sea, buried in the earth as shown in this slide from the interview. The second interview where Tim is asked for archaeological evidence is with Zen Garcia.
A question with regard to the islands there, because located in Cambodia, you have the very ancient culture and the extravagant remnants of, these what's the name of that city?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the name.
Yeah, I can't. It escapes me. My children went and visited there, but anyways, I was wondering, are there structures like that, or are there, ancient relics also found in the Philippines that most people don't know about? And also wanted to ask, as far as the ancient traditions, the mythologies of the native peoples there, if you know about any of that, and is there truth preserved in
the major challenge? Yeah, the major challenge in this journey was that the actual record of the Filipinos themselves, who, by the way, when the Spanish came here, Padre Torino, in fact, says that in the areas that he visited in the Philippines, 100% were literate. They could read and they could write. Now, they were reading something. They were writing something. And they were doing it in their language. And the actual written language is called Babayin. And it's actually very similar to Hebrew in the letters, and even some of the shapes of the letters are kind of fascinating. But that's not something we can really prove. We're not linguists. We can't go that far. But what we can say is they were reading something. They were writing something. They had a history. That's what people read and write, right? And yet it's all gone. The Spanish wiped it all out. 100% of it is gone. The oldest document we have in the Philippines is from 1640, and it's an epic poem. And then prior to that, there is a copper plate from about 800 to 1000 AD, which is a legal contract, which shows you how sophisticated these people were. They not only wrote a legal contract, they did it on copper. How about that? Now, but when Magellan came, he said, he asked the Filipinos, who is your God and what is your worship? Now, this is what Filipinos answered him. They said, we have no other worship. This is in Pigafettis Journal. recorded by the Spanish. This isn't some fiction. This is historic fact. We have no other worship but to raise our hands to heaven and our face to the sky, and we cry out to our Abba.
Wow.
Right?
That's awesome.
Abba? Where
Right.
did that come
Father.
from?
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
And, so right from the words of Messiah in the Garden of Gethsemane, Paul
Yes.
uses it twice as well. You have this name, and some will say, oh, well, but the Muslims came there. Yeah, they did in the gold rush. That's true. However, the Muslims have 99 names of Allah, and not a single one includes the word Abba. That concept is not Muslim. There is something
Right.
else to it. And it's because of their connection with King Solomon. The Queen of Sheba came. She did what? She gave an offering to the temple, just like Adam gave his offering the day after his exile. In the same offering at that, and the same with the three kings who came 2 years after Messiah was born. That's why it took them 2 years. They had to come all the way from the Philippines. And because they had to go around Africa, the Red Sea port was broken up at that time. And they brought the same gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and laid them at the feet of Messiah.
Timothy Jay Schwab cannot answer a straightforward question with a straightforward answer, then asks for archaeological and mythological proof, and Tim gives none. He starts talking about Babane and admits he is not sure about whether or not it is Hebrew in origin because, get this, he is not a linguist. Can he undercut his case for residual ancient Hebrew being in the Philippines anymore? He just admitted that he does not know what he is talking about when it comes to languages because he is not a linguist. Next he mentions that the natives told Magellan they worshipped Abba. Now, if Tim knew anything he would know that the Nestorians made it all the way to China and likely to the Philippines, which is where this name would have originated. Tim offers no mythological stories about the Jews and the Queen of Sheba and Solomon, or even a myth about the three wise men. Nor does Tim discuss archaeology, which is what Zen originally asked about. Never forget that Tim has already admitted in his book Solomon's Treasure there is no archaeology in the Philippines to prove his claims. He has also accused those demanding he show archaeological proof to buttress his claims as working in an occult paradigm.
These are extremely ancient, and to think they left archaeology to find may not be so simple. And to hold one to that standard as a must is really an occult paradigm.
It's no wonder that Tim did not flat out say to both John Pounders and Zen Garcia, there is no architectural or archaeological evidence in the Philippines for any of my claims, and to ask for such means you are working in an occult paradigm, despite him previously admitting that to be the case. Being so candid does not get likes and subscribers, and it does not sell books.